All right, so for outsider information, we are starting this scene in Castle Deverick. Castle Deverick is a small, twisted fortress that clings tenaciously to a steep hillside. Hardestat uses this castle as a headquarters from when he's away from his native Germany. It's the ancestral home of the Devericks, of whom the current family head is Baron Rudolf Deverick, a blurry-eyed, dissipated mortal completely dominated by Hardestat. Unfortunately, the Kindred that we're going to start with today have no idea exactly where they are. They're in a deep, dark hole with stone walls and molded straw all over the floor. Their only company is old human refuse and the rats that are running about the inside of their cells, in and out of the bars, looking for little scraps of food that they can get a hold of. There is some far-off sounds of guards whispering in the corridors, and the slight faint crackle of torches that are just out of sight. When the characters wake up tonight, however, it's after a harrowing experience. Not just what happened at this point, what can be assumed days upon days ago at the Giovanni Manse, or the fact that they were held separate until recently in this dungeon. But yesterday, when they woke up, they found themselves chained to the wall, in a sitting position, with their arms up, with a small slitted window in the cell that they were in. They had a hard time sleeping because as the sun was starting to come up, a little ray of light pierced the wall right over their heads. And as the sun got higher and higher, that beam of light got lower and lower. This would have kept them awake, near frenzy, all the way until possibly just after noon. Luckily for them, however, just as the sun was reaching the highest peak in the sky, that light began to dissipate just inches from where their hands and head would be in height. For our three captives, for Andrus, for Desmond, and for Aisha, can I get a composure plus resolve test to start the night with? Ooh. Aisha, you would have held yourself calm, understanding that this... You can sense the natural danger as the sunlight is getting closer and closer to you. You may have had, like, even just a small amount of tingling, as if you were just too close to a fire in this situation you're at, with the sunlight just getting closer and closer, almost like a blade coming closer and closer to your head. Your two companions are not faring so well. They are both in an extreme panic, almost animalistic. You can barely tell that they're human by the thrashing and the growling that they're doing, attempting to get away from the light itself. How do you think Aisha would have handled that?
She would have started to panic as they did as well, and then just seeing how animalistic they look, she would just focus on the only thing that she can control, and that is just moving away from the light as much as she can. Mm-hmm. But she does, like, stare at the sunlight just in wonder why it's having this effect on her.
Just before it starts to get to the point where it could touch you, that's when the light is just going to start fading. And within a few moments, all three of you are completely lost to the day sleep. Now is the point when I would like to have Aisha, Andros, and Desmond roll for hunger, starting with the 3 that they're at. Okay, looks like Desmond and Aisha are going to stick with 3, but our friend Andros is going to go down to 2. So the 3 of you find yourselves waking up again, hands free, no longer chained up, inside of that cell again.
Aisha stands up and walks towards the bars and just tries to see whatever she can.
It's the same dirty cell, just rats and straw and brick.
They have not moved us.
I think Desmond is in the same place that tonight, or very quickly assumes the same place tonight that he has been every night that they've been here. And that is curled up in the corner, sitting down in the corner, up against the corner, leaned up against the wall, just not moving.
How about Andros?
Andros is just going to kind of pace around the cell, just kind of take it in. Kind of really just observe his surroundings. Try to pick up like any, smells or, any sounds in the distance. Look outside the bars, just kind of peruse.
Okay.
Not really saying much, just observing.
Yeah. You'll be stuck alone, just the 3 of you, in that that dank dungeon for probably about an hour or so after you wake up. After that time, however, you're going to hear heavy footsteps coming down the hall. You're going to hear the panicked genuflections of soldiers realizing that their authority has entered. As they drop to one knee, you hear the fiddling with keys, and the large door to the dungeon swings open. And in marches that giant of a man that you saw just when you thought you were going to die at the Giovanni Manse. That tall, strapping man with dark hair and intense eyes who was belting out orders to everyone. With him is a smaller form. She's a handsome, middle-aged woman with very long, dark hair and bright green eyes that are even shining unnaturally so in the dim light of the dungeon. They come in, walk up to your cell. The woman stops and she stands matronly, staring at you. Takes a good long look primarily at Andros, as if she's sizing him up for something. Doesn't say anything. The other one, the taller man, who's in a full set of plate armor, as if he's posturing. He's showing off his status to you. It also has these strange little intricate designed spikes all over his armor, specifically on the back of his gauntlets. He's pacing back and forth, staring at you all like a tiger. Just the heavy chimes of his boots beating against the flagstone of the dungeon floor as he's walking back and forth.
Andrews would probably speak out after a little bit of this. Hello?
The man, again, he just doesn't speak at all when he's watching at you, but he will stop and just look at you. He gives you an intense look of how dare you when you say hello to him. The woman, though, she kind of gives you this smug look, almost as if she just finds the whole deal amusing.
Desmond has not looked up or moved or stirred from any of the commotion.
What about Aisha?
She's probably matching his stare, and then as soon as he looks at her, she just recoils. But if she notices that Desmond has just been curled up in the corner, she would try to get him to stand up and just say, "We should stand for the Lord," or something. What is his name?
The woman will look down at you. Regardless of whether or not you're standing or sitting, regardless of whether or not you're taller than her or not, she will look down at you. And she, in a voice of just pure authority, says, "You are in the presence of Lord Hardestat."
Lord Hardestat of...
I see. Lord Hardestat. So you must be the castellan of this humble abode.
This is my castle.
I wouldn't call it humble.
I mean, where we sit is pretty humble. Dirt floors. If I may speak out of my station, is there any way we could potentially garner some information as to what is going on?
As you ask that, another figure walks in with 3 others in tow. They're all fairly well dressed. It takes you a second to actually recognize the one who walks in first, but it's Rodrigo, the man who drove the carriages for you. The other 3 that he is leading into the room are all well dressed, very clean. They look like they might be younger nobles. And they are also incredibly androgynous. Their hair has been cut short. They are very thin and I'm going to go ahead and just say kind of teenage boyish when it comes to body shape, but it's very hard to tell if they're male or female or anything else. But as he walks in, Hardestat looks over towards Rodrigo and just says to him harshly, "Have them ready for us as soon as possible." And he will stomp out the door with the woman following behind him, just kind of at a leisurely pace. As soon as the door shuts, Rodrigo will drop his formal demeanor and look over at the 3 of you. "Are you 3 okay?"
What kind of question is that?
I mean, we are in a dirt cell. We are turned into whatever the hell we are. We don't know what's going on. You're the only familiar face we've seen. Desmond is catatonic in the corner. Shall I go on?
I understand, and I'm sorry, but at least you've survived.
Oh, praise be the Lord for surviving.
Desmond actually says something for the first time in several nights when you say that. We are not in the house of the Lord.
No.
We walk amongst devils.
Yes. I've been sent here to get you ready for questioning. I hope that afterwards I can explain more to you what might be happening, but right now I have very little time. He gestures over to the three, who walk over and undo the little clasps on the wrists of their shirts, and they seem to willingly, but emotionlessly stick their arms into your cells, and you can actually see tiny little bite marks where other people have fed from them. This would be the first time that someone is actually offering you human blood, and blood that has not been watered down in some fashion since you've arrived. You need to feed.
Asher will just glare at him, but just seeing the temptation there.
Yeah, he has nothing but shame on his face when he says it, and when he sees you looking at him. Is anyone not feeding?
I don't think Desmond has moved. I think he's still just laying in the corner of his cell.
Okay, what about Andros?
Andros will grab his arm and kind of inspect the wounds that are there, and not knowing exactly how to do this well, he kind of just finds one of the marks and bites down on that same mark.
When your mouth gets close to the flesh, you can feel your fangs start to extend on their own. Instinct comes over. And it's probably one of the most extraordinary feelings that you've had, at least that you can remember, since this ordeal of nothing but torture. But a hot flow of life effectively fills your mouth. Hot fire goes down your throat, and you can actually feel your body start to rejuvenate from all of the horrible abuse that it has received lately. How much do you think you might take?
Well, I'm at hunger 2, right?
Yes.
I mean, I would probably, in all honesty, feed until he nudges me or forces me to get off of him.
Okay. Why don't you give me... In fact, I think Aisha should probably do this too. This is going to end up being a willpower roll.
Just straight will?
Well, it'll be your conviction, or your conviction. It'll end up being your composure and your resolve.
Gotcha.
So yes, hunger does take into play on this. Actually, and yes, you would... Andros would be at 2 because he failed the test this morning.
Yes.
That, in fact, would be a bestial, or a messy critical. Awesome. All right, so Aisha is able to control herself fairly easily. How much do you think Aisha would instinctively try to take from a victim?
Just out of spite, I think she'd just try to take everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, unfortunately for the person that you are feeding from, I think Rodrigo would be more paying attention to what's happening with Andros, who seems to be losing himself in the feeding. To the point where he might even attempt to take him back. But unfortunately, with the third person who's in the room, he's going to have to try to console them instead. So I'm pretty sure both of you are taking lives at the moment. So, that being an outright murder on both people, both of you are going to go to 0 hunger, which might play out fairly well for the both of you for the session. But you're also going to be taking 2 stains each. So as Rodrigo goes to grab the individual who's probably trying to run out the door at this point out of fear, by the time he gets them calmed down, there's going to be screaming from Andros's, and then just a thud on the cold ground from the one that Aisha was feeding from. What's going through Desmond's head as he's watching his companions take human life?
He's not watching, but he is listening.
Yeah, you definitely hear some screaming, and then a dull thud, and then probably crying, following by a secondary thud.
He just turns about an inch further into the corner of his cell. He won't do to someone what was done to him.
Rodrigo is going to compose himself fairly easily, and has the third person stand by the cell without their arm in it, and he obviously looks jostled by the situation, but he is trying to compose himself. Okay, I know that must have been hard for you two, but I'm sure at least internally you feel better.
Did I drink too much? I was lost in this ambrosia, this hot.
Yes, yes, my friend, you did. You fed just a bit too much.
But I feel so good.
Yes, I've heard that's a thing that can happen.
Is this the way of things?
It doesn't have to be like this. If you control yourself, you can take just enough to sustain yourself without taking a life. He's gonna look towards Aisha. Are you okay?
Yes, I feel much better. I hope you don't get any trouble for this.
No, vessels don't always walk away, even here. He's gonna look down towards Desmond. Your friend needs to feed before you go see them, and I have to take you to them soon.
Aisha looks a bit disappointed when he says that he won't get in any trouble. But she turns around and...
He could just be being nice.
Maybe. Yeah, she turns around and approaches Desmond slowly and just, crouches next to him. It's not over yet. Our journey. Come on.
Do you have a goblet, good sir?
He gets a look of realization, and then followed by disappointment on his face when you ask him that, and he will walk over to a small area where there looks like there's an old moldy bucket and some little just cheaply made bowls just sitting around, and he will pull out a knife and cut the other one's arm and pour some of the blood into that, and hold it out and say for your friend.
I'll grab the bowl and I'll bring it to Desmond. Here, you must drink.
You'll feel better.
You do not have to sink your teeth into that person directly, you will not die. But you must have something, if this is the way of things.
If I drink, I might die. I don't want to be this.
If you don't drink, something worse will happen. You'll lose yourself to the demon within you, and you'll kill everyone around you, no matter who they are.
This already happened, did it not?
This is to be my fate. Cursed to kill one, to spare 10.
Nobody has died. Nobody has died here, Desmond. This is merely a bowl of nutrient. The man that it came from is still standing.
Is the guy that, the vessel that he cut the arm from, is he still standing in the doorway?
Yes.
Like, is he within arm's reach?
He's standing by the side of the. He's standing by the side of the cell.
I think Desmond loses his temper a little bit. Smacks the bowl of blood out of Anders's hand. Snarls, leaping to his feet, and is going to pull the arm, reach out and grab the vessel outside the cell, and viciously drain him in the most horrific fashion that he can possibly put on, just to show them, the other two, exactly what he's talking about.
I am going to offer you something to enhance story for Desmond. With everything that's going on, instincts and you trying to prove a point, I think this might be a good idea for you accidentally to fall into your first level of potence.
Okay.
So, I knew it.
Would you prefer to have Soaring Leap, which could very well be done here as you jump demonically to the other side of the cell, or Lethal Body, which is just going to horrendously harm this person that you're grabbing onto?
Ooh.
Because either one will work here.
Like
I was thinking... Go ahead.
Like completely pulling his arm out of its socket, ripping it off?
That could very well be the case.
I was leaning towards Soaring Leap originally, but I think I like Lethal Body here.
Lethal Body?
Uh-huh. Desmond has a very short temper, and he is now dedicated to proving a point.
Okay. So we'll just go ahead and add Lethal Body to Desmond's sheet. And when Desmond slaps the bowl out of your hand, spilling blood all over the floor, which part of you, and I'm referring to Aisha and Andrus here, part of you is like, oh my god, I can't believe he did that. While the other part of you is like, oh god, what a waste. Like, there's just that little voice in your head that's like, oh, well, if he wasn't going to drink that, we could have. But on the other hand, he rushes the bars, grabs the young man by the arm, and just sinks his teeth in, bending down to the ground to just fairly lose himself in the act. And you can hear flesh rip. You can hear bones break. He screams out in pain. There is nothing enjoyable about what is going on here. And also, Desmond will be taking 2 stains as he drains the lifeblood from his victim.
As he's finishing taking the last drop, he's just gonna hold up the mangled corpse with one hand, looking dead at Andres and Aisha, and doesn't say a word. And he just lets the body hit the floor.
Well, Desmond, do you feel better?
Desmond's now at hunger 0 as well.
I think Desmond just turns and slides back down in the wall next to the cell door. Just kind of elbows on knees, head sloped.
When did you say the questioning was to take place?
I'm to take you to my masters now.
Well, there's no time like the present.
He's gonna go over and grab that bucket of not quite water and drag it over to the cell and slide it between the bars. And if you would like to clean yourselves up a bit, that is an option.
What does it smell like?
It just smells like old water. Like it was not a toilet. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
It just smells like water that has not been changed out enough.
Okay, I just want to make sure they didn't fill a piss bucket full of just water.
No. This is a used for drinking and for cleaning, not for using as a toilet.
All right, I will probably rip some of my attire off to make like a makeshift rag, since my clothes are ruined anyways, and dip it in the water to clean my face and my hands. Try to make myself a little bit more presentable.
I'll do the same. Yeah.
Desmond just says, "They made me this way, they can smell me this way."
Rodrigo will walk up to the door of your cell, pull out a ring of fairly large iron keys, and start to unlock the door. I'm not going to put you in chains, because I think it's pointless. I think it's more demeaning than it needs to be. And I'm about to take you to monsters that are unfathomably stronger than you are.
Yeah, so you don't see any point, because if we try to do anything, we'll probably just be destroyed anyway, right?
Correct.
What a mercy.
He just looks down at the ground. You can... He definitely gives off a look of regret. And he was fairly kind to you when he was picking you up. But he was also the person who took you to Claudius Giovanni's mansion.
So, you feel some sort of regret in this?
I don't think anyone should have to go through what you're going through.
But you were the one who took us to that house of horrors.
I didn't have much of a choice.
Yes, the instinct of survival is quite strong in the face of morality.
Listen, if you walk away from this night, I will be more than glad to explain as much as I can to you, but right now I have to take you to them. He's going to unlock the door the rest of the way.
At least tell us this. How do we get out of this meeting alive?
Answer truthfully, as much as you can.
Kiss the ring.
Kiss the ring.
This man, Hargistat, he seems like a noble sort. Appeal to his sense of authority and stature, and he will be more favorable, I will assume.
Rodrigo opens the door and says, "Flattery will get you everywhere."
Ah, yes, see? Is no different than the normal courts. You know, except if we make a wrong move, we die.
Like you said, no different from the normal courts.
True enough.
At least demons still like compliments.
These demons were once human, mortal.
Were they?
What do they call it? Normal people.
Kind. Which all of you, this is a storyteller telling you, all of you would know is a word for cattle.
Yeah, it's yeah. Kind. So normal people are nothing but food.
Explains a lot about our treatment.
He will begin leading you all out of the dungeons. Are all three of you coming? Is anyone fighting to stay behind?
Nope.
Okay. The path he takes you through is a very long and narrow tunnel. It's stone all the way across. There are guards stationed in between every door that you pass, and eventually you get taken to a room that's still downstairs. You're still, from what you can tell, underground. The point where even some of the stones seem to be leaking small amounts of water as you pass, and there's just little rivulets of water running down the walls. And the room that you walk into is large, stone, bare, and has one table in it. Towards one side of the room that is just covered in all of these strange implements most of you have probably never seen before. Desmond, on the other hand, has probably made some of these implements before, and they are all torture mechanisms. These are things that are used against people who have committed treason or who have stolen from the wrong person. This room has no windows in it, except for a large metal grated hole in the roof that you can, at this point in time, probably just see the moon starting to peek out over. And on the floor below this grated hole are these scorch marks that look like they were made by somebody who was thrashing about. In this room, there are 4 people. That man, again, Hargistat. The woman who is standing in there with him. The old woman from the inn. the old woman who was just listening to everyone's stories and who the innkeeper told to just stay in the corner away from the fire so that she could at least stay warm from the night. She's here as well. And also, would you like to describe Divine?
With pleasure. Devine stands just a little...
Is it Devine?
Yes, it is Devine.
Sorry, I was saying Divine.
It is perfectly fine. She stands just a little hair over 5.5 feet. Her hair is pulled up. You can tell that it is very thickly bound. It's a deep, dark, somewhere between coal and brown kind of hues. Thick waves instead of curls that play against the framing of her face. Her dress is in the cloth of mourning. She's wearing a very black skirt that's been tied up with a silk rope around the hips, along with some metal cords that hang off of one side. A couple of simple coin bags look to be hanging off of her as well. Her shirt is white, very tightly bound to the front, and she's glamorous. She carries that prestige of beauty. Her eyes are somewhere between green and gold with their own vibrant glow from them.
All right. And Rodrigo leads you into this room, having you all stand underneath that grating in the ceiling. This is where they want you to be. And not that it's going to do much, but I will be right outside the door. And he will leave you where you stand with the other 4 who are in the room. Hardestat is going to walk up to you as if he's about to give military orders. And he paces back and forth between the 3 of you, staring you each in the eyes. He's going to stand in front of Andros. Just look him down and say, "Well."
My lord, it is an honor to be standing in your presence and to be given this opportunity to make ourselves useful to you. And I bow down in front of him.
He, you can hear him kind of breathe out through his nose, kind of like a kind of sound, but he does seem to hold himself up a little bit higher. He raises his chin a little higher. And he's going to continue standing in front of Andros, but he will look over towards Desmond. What is Desmond's stance and frame of mind at this point?
Desmond is standing with his arms kind of at his sides and his head just kind of slumped down looking at the floor. How he has been several days and how he walked all the way there.
And then he'll look over towards Aisha. He'll stand in front of her, though. And when he does, is she standing, like, what is her stance? What is Aisha's stance?
Her shoulders are hunched a little and her hands are in front of her, like clasped together.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like bowing her head a little, just as she was like serving him, basically. But she does curtsy when he approaches her.
I'm going to describe what he intends to do. If anybody has any actions they want to take to change that, please speak up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
Okay. Hardestat reaches down with his heavily armored glove with the menacing looking decorative, but also they seem to be utilitarian spikes on his gloves, and with his thumb and forefinger will lift Aisha's chin up so that she stares at him in the eyes.
She resists a little bit, but it is pretty futile, so yeah, she'll look at him.
He kind of turns your head back and forth a little bit, just slightly, as if he's appraising you. The old woman who's in the corner, like I said, is the same one that was at the who is at the inn. She's wearing heavy skirts and shawls, and she just seems to be observing everything that this giant of a man is doing. The other woman hasn't taken her eyes off Andros the entire time. The other two of you might as well not even be in the room with the way that she stares at him. Hardestat will let go of Aisha's face, and he will take a few steps back so that he's well flanked by all three of you, so that he can be seen and heard properly. Do any of you have any idea where your masters have gone to?
Aisha just looks at both of them and then just shakes her head at him.
We do not.
Can you name any of the other members of the Conspiracy of Isaac?
What is the Conspiracy of Isaac?
He punches the inside of his own hand, which makes this horrible, thundering clash of metal upon metal. When are they planning to attack?
Desmond just says, Matron Violetta.
He will turn on you very quickly and marches up close to you. What did you say?
Violetta.
The matronly looking woman in the room she gives off a soft laugh, and she's like, of course that wretch would be involved in this. I'm more interested in knowing who made this one. And she's going to walk up and place her hand on... Is Andros still kneeling?
Probably after he stops acknowledging Andros and focuses on Aisha, he probably would stand.
Okay. She's gonna grab the back of your head by the hair, unless you go to stop her.
No, I just stand there and take it, essentially.
She has a surprising grip, and it definitely is uncomfortable as she mats your hair in her hands and holds it tight. And she says, this one smells of blood sorcery. This one smells of thaumaturgy. And Hardestat looks over, and he looks as almost if he's going to try to sniff to see if he can try and tell also, but looks to think better of it. We have things to discuss, Fanchon. And he looks down at the woman who's holding on to Andros's hair. You and I, we have things to discuss. And they will start to walk out. The door will shut behind them, and you are left alone with the old woman and with the beautiful young woman who's in the room with you.
She would listen for their footsteps as they leave.
Oh, they recede into the distance. You can definitely hear Hardestat wherever he goes.
She'd probably take a long breath and move her hands to her wrist to play with the single chain that goes around it. then she'd slowly look between the three, trying to size them up, figure out which one is which.
Well, one is quite obviously a Nosferatu.
So did he leave any marks on her face from the gauntlet glove thing?
No. It was like appraising an animal.
Okay, alright.
He just kind of grabbed her by the chin and looked at her.
Alright. I should warn you, though. I need to ask you a few questions.
Alright.
I need to know who's responsible for this. Who put you up to this?
What is up to this? We were their food.
Are you certain that's the only reason you're here? To be food?
No, the lords and ladies, we were their food. And then they got attacked. And they changed us. And left us there.
Yes. We are ignorant to the designs of everything that is happening here. We were merely invited to the Giovanni Manse, presumably under the pretenses of some sort of dinner for sociability, networking, things of that nature, only to be toyed with and used as food for what they were. Something happened, an attack or something like that. They panicked, and we were used as scapegoats to allow them to escape. We woke up in a panic, not knowing what was going on, and the next thing we know, we were captured, thrown into a dungeon cell, and now we're here.
So you can't really tell me who had invited you?
It was the Giovanni Manse. So Lord Giovanni, or something.
She kind of idly play with her wrist piece just a little more before looking to the one that isn't speaking at all. Are you able to speak as well, sir?
He just kind of like half-heartedly raises his head and drops it back down as in like just a real short nod.
And is that the same for you?
They told us to fight until we couldn't fight anymore. And we couldn't. I couldn't. I had to listen, even though I didn't want to.
Yes, it was the black magic.
Black magic.
That same man. Did I get his name, by the way? I think I got his name right.
Which one?
The one that was messing with me during the dinner.
Your host? Your host specifically?
Yeah. Did I get his name?
Your host, you did. Your host
was Lord Casimir, right?
I'm just double checking, but yes, Lord Casimir, yes.
Okay, I was just making sure if I actually got his name in game or not. Yes, that Lord Casimir did something very similar to me. It's like he compelled me to do things and I could not resist it, but I was fully aware of my action.
So what exactly were you made to do?
He told me to step onto a ledge to stare down into the abyss, telling me that he could make me jump if I wanted to, or if he wanted to. I was still resistant, so I goaded him further, and he made me put a foot out, one step away from falling. Then I was able to move on my own and fell backwards. He told me he wanted to show me black magic, and that's what he did.
Do you know where your sires have run off to? Those that made you what you are.
No. At least I don't. I heard something about the catacomb. That's it.
And what have you, miss? Do you not have the same?
I guess the same as them. But this man wearing purple, Lord Gablin, I think was his name. He took me outside and had animals come from everywhere and attack me. I blinked and then I was fine.
So all of you have only recently been turned.
Yes, it would seem. Is that what they did? They turned us into them, correct? Yes?
You became their childer. They became your sire. Something closer to almost like a parental figure that would teach you a little of their ways.
Teach us.
Well,
They taught us plenty.
They absolutely failed in that respect.
So you know nothing of their conspiracy. Nowhere that they have gone. And
No.
nothing for what it was for.
They put taps in our necks. Forced us to sit still as they drained us slowly, cup by cup. And then, when the attack began, they ripped them out. And then I've spent the next God knows how many days in extreme agony, still trying to rip and tear to fulfill the command I was given.
Do you still hear your sires now? Do any of you have a strong, strong connection?
I don't. I barely can even understand what's actually happening. I don't.
That leper. A demon posing as a leper. Ran her fingers into the flesh of my face. And laughed as I ran her through and tried to cut her in half. We weren't anything more than toys. To be thrown away when they were done playing with us. We know nothing. Nothing. more than that. Now put me out of my fucking misery.
Completely out of your misery?
That's what you're gonna do, right? We get no answers, we give you no answers that you need. What use are we?
You'd be surprised how useful people can be. But it is not my decision. However, is it that agony for you? Is it that much?
Desmond looks up, looks her in the eyes. You can see the cold black sludge of what was his veins bulging in his face. And there's just a stream of blood running down from his eyes. And a white hot stare.
She kind of bow her head for a moment, change her focus back to the woman in the room.
His head just drops.
Do you know which animals? You said you were attacked by many beasts. Was it all one kind or various?
There were lots of them. Bulls, birds, a bear. They all came from nowhere and tore me to shreds. And I died. And then I blinked and I was fine. And he helped me up.
When you awoke, were there any of the animals still there?
No.
You all have been made into creatures of the night. I'm sorry that your bringing was in this form.
You can hear Hardestet's boots returning down the hallway. You have a few moments before he gets there.
What were they celebrating? Some cap something.
The celebration they were having?
Yes, why?
Unfortunately, I was not invited.
The door is going to slam open, hitting the wall hard. When it does, Hardestet walks back in, followed by Mistress Fanchon, who had followed out with him. Anything? He looks towards Devine.
Nothing more than what a first day would speak of.
So
They're
useless. They're useless. Why would we keep them?
They each have various skills that they can harness.
He looks at you with just... He does not like you. It's very evident that he does not like you. You're disagreeing with what he says, and he cannot argue with it, and it angers him. And he turns sharply and looks towards the old woman in the corner and says, "Old one, what do you make of this rabble, which has provided such poor entertainment tonight?" The old lady goes to stand, and you can all hear the various popping of bones as she tries to right herself. Strangely enough, the only furnishing in this room is this old rocking chair that she has set in the corner. It just seems so out of place in this prison setting. And she's going to carefully approach you. And she's kind of clucking and muttering to herself in a strange language. And she's going to come to Desmond first. If the little babe knows aught of the details of the conspiracy against Cappadocius. Tell old Dirjacin true now. Tell her true, my dove. And she starts petting Desmond. What do you know? But she's just petting you tenderly, looking into your eyes. She's not afraid to touch the scarring and the misshapenness of you. She's treating you very kindly.
Who is Cappadocius?
Who is Cappadocius? He's the founder of one of the great clans, child. Do you know anything of Cappadocius?
I don't even know who he is, let alone any conspiracy against him.
She's gonna go to take her hand off of your face, and when she does, a jagged edge of her thumbnail is going to catch across your cheek. It's not going to cause you any physical damage, but it is going to sting quite a bit. And when she does, she's going to take the blood that's on her nail and sniff at it. And she's going to dab a couple drops on her tongue. And then she's going to walk over to Andrus, who for some reason I see standing in the middle. And she's going to look at you, and she's going to say the exact same thing that she said to Desmond. If the little babe knows aught of the details of the conspiracy against Cappadocius, tell old Dirjacin true now. Tell her true, my dove. And she's going to start holding your hand or petting your face, whichever you will allow.
I'll allow her to do what she's doing, but I'll look her in the eyes without breaking.
She has vibrantly beautiful, young-looking eyes for as ancient as she appears.
I wish I could give you the answers you seek, but I cannot.
She kind of makes some cooing sounds at you as if, oh, it's sad, but she understands, and she pets you on your hands and your face, and the same thing is going to happen. That jagged bit of her nail is going to just scrape across your skin. She's going to smell at the blood that she's drawn. She's going to dab a little on her tongue. And she's going to move over to Aisha. If the little babe knows aught of the details of the conspiracy against the Cappadocian, tell old Dirjacin true now. Tell her true, my little dove. And she's going to coddle you as a grandmother would coddle a child as well.
She'll let it happen, but she looks pretty uncomfortable. They just mentioned that name and catacombs, and that they were celebrating something. I don't remember anything else.
She goes to move that jagged nail across your flesh as well, but stops. And she leans in and starts smelling you. Primarily around the wounds that you've received, that open gash in your neck that you still have from the tap that was put in. She gets very close into your ear. Dirjacin leans into Aisha and says, protect your name at all cost. Do not let any that you don't trust, any that you don't know your true name. Protect it.
She nods very slightly.
and she is going to back off and stand and start backing away. The old woman starts to back away from Aisha, not marking her at all, just seems to have whispered something into her ear. She walks over to Hardestad and seems to just wander around him as if he was just a piece of furnishing in the room. She runs her hand over his armor, her just lightly, not cutting herself on the spikes or anything. Well, my young giant, it seems that none of your little chicks is a rooster. They are blank slates. They know nothing of this world. Why? They don't even have a sense to recognize that they've been hatched anew, let alone what they can do with their new wings. Hardestad is obviously disgruntled at this entire thing. He lets out a sigh. Probably the weakest moment that any of you have actually seen him in is just this momentary look of defeat. Then let's have done with it. Off to the roof with them. Sunrise is only a few short hours away. We have much yet to accomplish this evening. He's obviously condemning you all to death. But my lord Hardestad, Mistress Svanshin interrupts. I don't believe in wasting resources, and even one as trifling as these. I would be happy to blood bond each of them to myself so that they may be no more harm to us. They could serve us, helping to track down their errant sires, or those who have knowingly broke the traditions of Cain. Hardestad laughs in her face for suggesting such a thing. Do you think the night's exertions have knocked the brains out from my body? You're not going to blood bond these neonates to yourself, you damn Tremere. It's their masters come calling. They could betray us. Oh, he's gonna look straight at you when you start laughing like that.
Yeah, he's still like not even looking at him, still just kind of headed through the floor.
Suddenly
the next blade I bury in her won't break.
There's going to be a sudden strange laughing in a corner of the room that had no one standing in it before, and someone who's almost, possibly the same amount of hideousness, but in a different way than Desmond is standing there. They are powerful, though, Hardestad. Would make most excellent slaves. And he says that while he's absent-mindedly picking at a wart on the side of his face.
She's going to do her best not to look upset by the phrase.
After that creature says that, another person walks in. Not as big and over-imposing as Hardestad, but a very gorgeous, medium-boned man with a almost musical tone to his voice. Devine knows him personally.
She'd bow her head.
He walks in. They are ignorant, but could unmask us all. Although, I could be persuaded to take this one for a slave, And he walks over and starts to just admire Aisha.
So what, are we to be adopted now?
You want them dead? Right.
Hardestat looks over towards Desmond as he seems
Desmond actually
bloodthirsty.
Desmond actually looks at Hardestat when he says this.
Next to the other Nosferatu in the room, no reason to mince words here, another one seems to just come from the shadows, as if she was there the entire time. This one's exceedingly tall, rosy-cheeked woman with kind of childish wonder in her eyes. Perhaps I could take one, blood bond them to me. They could be my children, my own dear hearts. Then I could eat of their fresh drink, of their marrow, and you shall both be satisfied. We'll keep them, and we'll eat them. And she just kind of seems to be looking off into the distance.
Desmond's still looking directly into Harderstadt's eyes. Give me a forge and enough metal, and I'll kill them all myself, or put me to death. I'm not a servant. I don't know much other than a forge. But I do know that if I make it out of here tonight, I will sever Violetta's head from her shoulders and mount it above my fireplace.
The old woman, Durjasin, as she called herself while talking to you, addresses the elders in the room. You waste even middling opportunities and precious resources God hath set to you. Do you not see that cowering before you are perfect spies? Hardestat looks at her. But they're unknown and undoubtedly weak. They could turn on us at any time.
Why are you afraid of us turning on you when you could so easily destroy what we are?
Hardestat looks over.
Does the lion fear the ant biting it?
Hardestat looks over towards Andrus, and the old woman starts laughing. And risk facing the wrath of newly minted assembled legions of all kindred. They're children. They're weak. They're nothing. They cannot hurt you. You're all as mad as Melkavians.
What is that?
Behind you suddenly is that one who said we should keep you and eat you. And she just leans into your ear and says, "Me."
You are... okay. We can be of use to you. We have no love lost with our supposed, what was the term, sires. We were brought to them to be used as food. They toyed with us and then disposed of us as if we were nothing. And we stand before you still as if we are nothing, but we offer you our hands. Yes, of course, we do so only for our own survival at the moment, but it is something, is it not?
And revenge.
Desmond is very eager to get his revenge. I am more curious as to the truth of things.
If I may be permitted to speak.
The tall, pretty man with the melodic voice looks over at Tavine. Yes, my child.
With conspiracies, it's always a game about numbers. The more you have, more sets of eyes and ears that you have, the better the chance to find them. And right now, it seems they have ties to those who would go against him. I don't see any reason that they should be wasted. Educational purposes prove that they could be something great. I don't see a point in wasting things that could be of talent and use.
With a bit of a showmanship flourish, the old woman moves around the room with an agility that would most likely surprise our newly embraced kindred. She's waving an egg, just a standard chicken egg, in the face of all of the elders who are trying to decide upon your fate. I have foreseen these unworthy fledglings have an important role to play in our tangled schemes. Behold, an egg newly laid this dawn. She walks as if she has a strange purpose that no one could possibly know in front of the line of our three prisoners. And Durjasin passes the egg over the heads of each of the prisoners and then kisses them. Kisses the egg. Takes up a small bowl and she cracks the egg open and pours the contents. And even Hardestat looks faintly surprised to see blood spilling out of the egg. I am not unskilled in the arts of my people, and I can tell you that this is a sign that these chicks are meant to play a part in this long and bloody drama. Just what that part is has not been seen, but they must be allowed to play it. They all just stare at what looks like curdled blood in this bowl that has come from the shell. And Hardestat finally speaks up. He says, "Your gypsy divination has not been wrong yet, but did I not fully trust you? Still, the hour grows early and I grow weary of this. You have best be right about this crucial matter, Ancient One. But so be it. We shall allow these craven neonates to live, so that they may serve as dogs, tracking down those who would break the traditions of Cain." He turns to Desmond and Aisha and Andres and fixes a long, chilling gaze on each of them. "This evening, I declare Giovanni and his fellow conspirators anathema. Never more will the other children of Cain give them shelter. They shall be hunted to the ends of the earth, and where they are found, they shall be slain in fire for their sacrilege. And you shall be our dogs. You shall hunt down your fathers and mothers, destroying those who unlawfully gave birth to you. And if you do not, you shall join them. And no devil or god, known to kindred or kind, shall save you from my wrath. Do you understand me?"
Yes, my lord.
Of course, Lord Hardestat.
He's going to turn on his heel and walk from the room, with all of the other elders following behind him. And when he's gone, Durjasin is going to smile and say, "May you justify my faith in you. Return and tell me of your efforts." And then she's going to give Desmond a kiss on the cheek and turn and leave the room.
Well, that was productive.
We have a second chance. We cannot waste it.
Yeah. A second chance.
Rodrigo's going to enter the room after that, and he seems elated. He's, "Well done. Well done. I seriously didn't think you were going to. I'm so glad they spared you. Now let's get you cleaned up." And he is going to lead you to a room where you can all get fresh clothes and clean up properly with fresh water. And there will be people who you can feed on, but he's going to beg you to be more careful if you need it. But in this fine sitting room, it's a dining room, strangely enough. This probably feels very uncomfortable for Andrus, Saisha, and Desmond, since the last dining room they were in was technically the room they were all murdered in. But it is a comfortable sitting room. And if I could get from our three, since Devine probably already knows the location of the castle, if you all would like to do an intelligence plus politics roll, if you have it, you can realize where you are.
If we don't have politics, would it be just intelligence?
I think you would have to have the politics to even...
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get nothing.
I don't have politics. But could I pose an alternate role
Please.
or something? Less figuring out where we are and more about understanding the general. This is some general information.
Mm-hmm.
Hardestadt's armor.
Okay.
The make and style of it.
Okay. You can definitely do that. That would be an intelligence plus crafts roll.
Okay.
As for... Let's see... I'm going to go ahead and say that Aisha does actually recognize the family crest that's over the fireplace in this dining room. This is Deverick Castle. Not that would really mean anything to you, but you do know of this family, and you do know that they're a long-lived Carpathian tradition in this area. For Desmond, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes. What was the question exactly you had?
If there was any details relevant to region, craftsmanship, and like style that could be gleaned from Hardestadt's armor.
Okay. What you're going to get from this is, from your trade, you know that this is definitely a German style of armor.
Okay.
That is very closely linked to the Knights of the Black Cross. It's not something you would typically find in this part of the country, and the spikes are just overkill. Like, they do look definitely usable, but they're definitely there for social matters as well as physical matters of being menacing.
Okay.
So in this room, in this dining area, you have Rodrigo and the four of you. That is if Devine would follow them.
She would definitely have followed.
Okay. So, yes, it would be all of you feeling fresh and revitalized, probably still rather threatened by what is happening right now, but in at least what appears to be a safe place for you.
Devine would always stand very poised. She'd always look almost statuesque. Kind of like, she'd probably have a curious gaze, though, as she would watch each of them. Not so much as, like, I'm taking notes, but attempting to remember her own first day.
Mm-hmm.
And those emotions that come with it.
Yeah, they're effectively still human. You know, for all argument, you know.
Of course. Just take it in the admiration that it is before it completely dies off.
All right. So you all have when you come back into the dining room, and it would be Devine and Rodrigo in the room waiting for you. So how are you all feeling? I mean, I understand that's probably an ignorant question, but
Still rather confused. We do not truly know what is happening, who any of these people really are.
well, I'm here to answer what questions I can.
All right then. What is going on?
Well, unfortunately, the three of you have been caught in... Unfortunately, the three of you have been caught in a war. Between... monsters. There's a conspiracy happening. A group of... every time he says monsters or creatures or anything like that, he looks over towards Devine like he's trying not to insult her.
Devine looks insulted.
Yeah, I assumed. You're caught in between a war that revolves around the fact that some of these ancient creatures are attempting to murder one of their own, which is one of the greatest laws that they have, is you're not supposed to kill your own kind. But another one of those laws is you're not supposed to create without permission. It's an almost impossible situation you find yourself in.
Permission from who?
Their elders, the heads of the clans.
Yes, what does that mean? What is this clan situation?
Each of you have been embraced, changed into a Cainite. Descendants of Cain. The very same Cain from the Bible who killed his brother. Being brought into the family of the first murderer, each of you have specific bloodlines that you belong to. He'll look over towards Desmond. It's quite obvious that you, my friend, have been taken into Clan Nosferatu. But it's hard to tell with the others.
So these clans are like, you said bloodlines, so like family?
Yes. I have my suspicions about you, and he looks over at Andros, simply because Mistress Fanchon seems to have taken a liking to you.
And then who is she? I noticed that she was giving me the stare of ages in there.
He looks like he's having a hard time divulging, but he looks like he's attempting to fight through it. Mistress Fanchon is an elder of Clan Shamir. And if she smells her own clan on you, I'm sure that's the reason why she's taken interest.
So you can just tell by smelling?
Not everybody can, but given the fact that you said that Casimir was the one who spent most of his time with you, I'm assuming he's the one who changed you.
Yes, he was the one who turned me into this.
Yeah, then you, sir, would now belong to Clan Tremere.
Is that a good thing, or...
He sits heavily down in one of the chairs and pours himself a glass of wine. Takes a very long... Well, he chugs the whole thing, just straight out. He just drinks the whole thing and refills it.
That's not a good sign, is it?
Each clan.
I would say that you're all equally damned.
As are most things that walk the earth. It doesn't change much.
She told me to hide my name. Does that mean anything?
Who told you that?
That older lady.
The one with the irresistible eyes?
Rodrigo is going to look towards Aisha for a few moments. You went through your torture with Lord Gabrin, did you not?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure she was trying to protect you. Durjasin is a strange, ancient thing. She belongs to the clan Ravno, which if Lord Gabrin is the one who changed you, that would mean you do as well.
So we have Clan Nosferatu, Tremere, and Ravno.
It would appear that, so yes.
And what? So what does it mean to be a part of these clans? I mean, in Desmond's case, I can assume Nosferatu. They're not. Do they all look like that?
Well, they all...
Do they all turn into something like that?
From the way that it's been told to me, the Nosferatu all wear their beasts on their outside.
Oh, what is this beast? What do you mean by that?
Do you remember in the dungeon where you lost yourself to feeding?
Yes, it was like an uncontrollable desire to feed oneself, like if you've been traveling for ages without a single drop of water or food.
That's your beast. Each of you are going to have certain tells of your clan. And the Nosferatu, theirs is physical. Perhaps a member of Clan Toreador would be better off answering this question, and he looks over towards Devine. Do you know anything of the clans?
A little that gets passed down, stories. Nosferatu, even though they may appear in standing beast form, they are very apt at secret gatherers. They get information. They have their own skill sets, though. And honestly, are often overlooked. As far as the Ravnos go, I envy you being able to be in one of your own clan like that. It's not Not that I don't wish to change my own. I enjoy mine very much. But the skills that you can acquire, the things that you can do, much as the woman you saw before you, you'll be able to understand things in a whole entire different light. Some of you will be able to have faster movements and stronger abilities. The sun is something you must stay and stray from. And for others, there's banes that are included with it.
Banes.
Things that make it difficult to exist. Things that affect the clans individually, separating them from one to another. Toreadors are prized on beauty and are artists in their own way, whether it's voice or craft or dance. But they tend to do other things as well. I will do my best to help you. I'm a young one myself, but even now I can feel that humanity slowly fleeting and accepting my beast for what it is.
So there are boons and banes in these bloodlines that we call clan.
Very much so.
But we must all drink what?
Blood is unfortunately necessity, yes.
What happens if we don't?
Your beast will do it for you.
It's best to control and to choose your own targets and to have it be random and happenstance.
She'd idly touch her black dress a moment and kind of neatly press it down. Trying to stand as straight as possible.
So it is like we are possessed by some sort of demon that craves the blood of people.
No, you are the demon that craves the blood of people. You're not possessed. Your body will hunger for it. It is not some other part of you that you can separate. It is you now.
I see. Very well.
Now, she is right, though. There are benefits. Each of you will have your own special abilities that we can attempt to find out what they are tonight before you're forced to track down your sires. Who wants to play this game first?
I will. I'm quite intrigued as to what is able to be revealed here.
Well, I'm fortunate enough to be well educated in the ways of the Canaanites, so if you are of Clan Tremere, you'll find it easy to dominate men's minds, to see beyond what normal humans can see, and you may have to talk to Mistress Fanshin about this, but there is a form of sorcery that your kind are known for practicing.
Sorcery? Black magic?
Blood magic. They call it thaumaturgy or blood sorcery.
Oh. Oh, so that is the... So what Casimir did to me was not black magic, it was this power of domination over one's mind?
Most likely.
She would pull out her quill, her ink, and her parchment and begin to take notes on each of them as they begin their own trials.
The Nosferatu. You are known for your grand strength. Almost godlyhood in the eyes of your strength. The ability to blend into the shadows and go unnoticed. And I know a few of them who also have the ability to speak with animals, to communicate with them on a higher basis than any human can. Would you see that? And he looks over towards Desmond. Would you see that as a benefit, compensation for what you feel like you may have lost?
Time will tell.
And then there's Clan Ravno. I don't even know really where to start with the capabilities of this clan. They're known to be able to vanish the same way as the Nosferatu, to communicate with animals in the same fashion, but also to be as... How would you put your special gifts, Devine? The powers of attraction.
Seduction, lure, able to make myself appear even more attracting, if need be, to change my appearance and also to hide it. I am a very good distraction when it is needed, and sometimes I am able to make those do things that I want them to do because of that. It's not as if I'm going to do anything wrong, but my voice can be heard and used for as long as it can be held.
He looks back over towards Aisha. These are the gifts that the Ravno seem to be able to control, but also you can make waking dreams.
So if I wanted to, I could have animals tear you apart. Is that what you're saying?
He looks terrified when you say that, but
You could attempt.
yes.
However, the end result may not be what you want.
Good to know.
I apologize for my involvement in where you find yourselves now. This is not something that I ever wished for anyone, but I'm a slave to the founders.
So you're not like them. You're just some thrall.
No, I'm very thankful that I'm not like them. My soul has not been lost.
Also, our souls are lost.
He looks towards Devine, but
That
says,
is-
I'd say so.
Yeah. It's still debatable.
So what are we doing? We're damned. We are agents of the devil now. Is that it?
The devil had no part in this to play. This was Cain's doing.
But
However,
who do you think influenced Cain? The desire he had for murder.
envy, rage,
All sins born of the devil, no?
perhaps.
At least that's what the Christian books say.
Exactly.
But if this Cain is real, if we are all supposed to be descended from him, does that not make this fact?
Again, I can't go and say things that I do not know. I was not there. However, that does bring me to question, what exactly was your role in this, bringing them here? Considering we are investigating a conspiracy, how were you involved?
Are you asking Rodrigo?
Yes, the ending was for Rodrigo.
Yes, were you paid to wrangle us up like sheep?
I was working as an agent of both sides. Lord Hardestat and the other founders, they sent me a way of escaping the slavery from Lord Giovanni. And to repay my debt, I had to continue working for Giovanni while passing information off to the founders.
That's quite the dangerous position.
It was. But if I can stop Claudius Giovanni from the crimes that he's attempting to commit, I would say it's worth it.
And what is the crimes that he's trying to do? What is this conspiracy of Isaac or whatever?
The Conspiracy of Isaac is a group of Cainites who have chosen to murder one of their own kind, an ancient by the name of Joseph. Claudius Giovanni needs to be stopped.
Okay, but if killing one of your own kind is such a big taboo, we were about to be killed and we were one of their kind, no? They were literally discussing how they would just dispose of us in that little room.
You guys are in that gray area.
What makes it gray? Are we not these Cainites as well? Do we not drink the blood?
You are. But the permission to turn you was not. So, it's that gray area. They would allow the sun to kill you, so they did not.
Plausible deniability. Oh, we didn't plunge the dagger into their hearts. We just tied them up into the trees and let the wolves take them. It wasn't our fault.
But a few of us stood up for you.
Indeed. And I am most appreciative. It gives us an opportunity to at least figure out what the truth is. And where we can go from here. So you work for Hardestat? Miss Devine?
Devine, yes. And honestly, I follow my sire. I was lucky enough to be chosen, and he tends to follow Hardestat, so I follow too.
So you were lucky enough to have a parent that actually cares. Good.
If you can say that. I was selected for my face, not my skills. Toreadors are bound to beauty. So.
I think Desmond missed his calling. The blades he produces are of such beauty.
I would like to see that.
You hear that, Desmond?
He's still, he's just, I imagine, sitting at a table, just staring at the top of the table, hands in his lap. Listening.
Hey, if it's any consolation, my friend, it doesn't matter what you look like. It seems like your mind and heart are still what they were.
You just wait till you get yourself to another blacksmithing spot. And you take your anvil and your hammer, and you feel the recoil as the metal whelps beneath you with your newfound strength.
Oh yes, I'm sure you could produce a fine blade in half the time.
Stronger blades.
You said we're in a war.
That is true.
Wars are fought with weapons.
And abilities, yes.
I need a forge.
I will speak to Hardestet.
As a matter of fact, Desmond, I think you are in probably the best position out of all three of us here. Your skills of forging are very open and, what's the word? Easy to demonstrate, to prove the worth of, yes? I don't think it'd be too hard to prove yourself as a good asset.
I don't care about being an asset.
Well, for the sake of surviving, so you may get your revenge, that is a stepping stone in your path to achieving it. As distasteful as it may be, we are now under the thumb of that Hardestet, and we have to consistently prove ourselves so that we may get the opportunities that we need to do what we want. And eventually, maybe, earn our own freedom. At least that's how I perceive things.
There is another benefit. Well, some people see it as a benefit to the condition that you're in now. If you can survive this trial that the founders are putting you through, you may walk out of this immortal.
We may
Desmond looks up to Rodrigo. What happened to the boys at the inn?
They're fine.
Where are they?
They're still at the inn.
Get them.
Do you wish me to bring them here?
No, take them home.
I will see that they get home safely.
Aisha, what are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, I have survived many things. I've been a slave, and then a slave, and now it seems I'm a slave again. I guess we just make the best of it. And if we succeed, immortality sounds nice, I guess.
Mortally a slave.
I think of all opportunities I've had to escape slavery. This one strangely seems the most promising.
There is a way to earn your freedom. I know it seems impossible given the personalities that you have just become acquainted with, but if you can earn the respect of Hardestet and the other founders, then they generally do reward faithfulness with freedom.
And generally speaking, are the people that are rewarded chosen with permission?
Most of the time.
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean it's impossible. I think one of the first things that we need to do, though, is to get you all in a shape where you can be of assistance.
Right.
We need to heal you from the injuries that you've sustained at your sire's hands. These wounds that you have are not permanent. Not for you. And Rodrigo is going to take that knife off his belt again, but this time he's going to slice his own arm open. And when he does, he's going to make it very apparent to all of you as he holds his arm up and he shows you how his flesh knits back together with a small amount of concentration.
Is this another benefit of what we are?
Yes.
Wait, how can you do that if you're not like us?
I am not Cainite. I'm a servant of Cainites. They call us ghouls. And we have the ability to... We have small Cainite abilities. I would like to try to teach you how to heal yourselves. Not only for now, but it could come in handy later. Is this acceptable?
I have one more question.
Yes.
You keep calling them the founders. Founders of what?
Within Cainite society, there are groups. There are factions that form. Small groups, we call them coteries. Kindred or Cainites of like-minded, they tend to group together. Given the fact that you are all being sent off on this mission, you may very well be considered a coterie. But this group specifically, these elder kindred, they're trying to change things. They're trying to make things better for both Cainites and Kine. They're trying to make it so that this horrible Inquisition ends. And they call themselves the Little Room. They call themselves the Camarilla. They are the founders of the Camarilla.
Sounds like big aspirations for a little room.
They want to bring as many Cainites under their banner as they possibly can to promote a more peaceful existence between your kind and my kind.
As long as they're useful. Because they were going to kill us if we did not prove ourselves to be useful.
The founders are attempting to hide the existence of all Cainites from humans, so that they never have to worry about them again.
So we don't have to worry about them?
Both.
But we still have to feed on humans.
Yes.
People.
But there are ways for you to feed on them without leaving traumatic memory behind.
Oh yes, you mean we shouldn't go around putting taps in people's necks?
I'm very sorry that happened to you.
Not sorry enough to stop taking us there. Not sorry enough to report that they were all organizing before it happened.
No.
Rodrigo just looks guilty.
He did explain to us that he was caught between two factions of people that were much more powerful than he was. As unfortunate as it was, I cannot blame you for doing what you needed to do to survive.
That's fine.
It was still a monstrous act.
I'll blame him enough for the both of us.
Oh no, I still blame him. Don't get me wrong. I just, I forgive him.
Good. Hold on to that. That can be lost very quickly.
Well, I kind of have to forgive him for that since I killed the individual not too long ago. Unintentionally, of course. That beast that you mentioned. That is the thing that killed that person. It was not me.
You and her.
Can you just teach us how to heal these wounds?
Would the two of you like to see that?
See what?
What you look like.
She didn't say anything.
Was that your beast that did that to that man, or was that you consciously?
I was hungry.
She said it herself. It's not different from you. You can't separate the two.
Well, I'm sure as hell going to try.
You do have to learn how to keep them under control.
I was in complete control.
So you chose to completely destroy that man?
I was perfectly content to lay in that cell until the sun took me. You wanted me to drink, so I drank. And while I drank, I showed you exactly what it was you two looked like when you drank. Monsters, all of us. For better or fucking worse.
Devine would just kind of look away. The whole biting of her lip, twitching of fingers.
I'm sorry that you find yourself in a world that's not pleasing to you. But it is a world that you could very well be in for a long time. I hope at some point that you have some semblance of acceptance. But
I
right
hope
now,
so
this
too.
is where you are.
I hope so too. Shall I bury my fingers in your face? See which one of us gets over it first?
Rodrigo is going to stand up from his chair, walk over to Desmond. If you must. If you think it would make you feel better. I'll submit to whatever punishments that you wish to give me because I've earned them. Perhaps Devine over here will be lucky enough to be able to take you on as students so that you don't have to meet the realization of what you are from lessons from a ghoul. Or you can stop feeling sorry for yourself, accept what you are, and accept the tutelage. What's it going to be, Desmond?
I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm angry. And he just turns and drops his head back to the table.
He's just going to lean down next to you. Then let's kill your sire. Now all of you can think about moving your fingers on your hand, correct? And you just do it, right?
Of course.
Your blood is now an extension of yourself. It's not just something that you hold waiting to spill in some horrible mishap. You can move it. You can tell it where to go by thinking about it. And that's all you have to do, is stop and think about it. The wound I put on my arm, I willed my blood to go to that location, and it mended on its own. It did what it needed to do because I sent it where it needed to go. And from what I understand, that's exactly how most of the powers or disciplines that K-Knights practice work. I myself have access to a few. Nothing as remarkable as what you'll be able to accomplish. But if you just stop and concentrate on where your blood goes, picture it running through your veins, going to the location where you have open wounds, it will go there and it will mend. And it is that easy. Do any of you want to try?
I'll try and heal this hole in my neck.
Yes.
Now, each of you, I believe, have a blood potency of 3, which means that if you attempt to mend, you heal 2 superficial wounds per rouse check. So all you have to do is burn. All you have to do is roll one die, 1 rouse, and Desmond seems to get a little hungrier, but you still heal the 2 wounds. Andros also, you don't get hungrier, but you heal your wounds. And unfortunately, Isa, she gets a little hungrier. How much damage do each of you have? It has been some time.
I have 2 aggravated left.
Oh, that'll take a little time. Ah, yes. Okay, here are my notes. Here are my notes on your damage. Rodrigo is going to walk over to Aisha. Now, if I remember correctly, you have aggravated damage on your arm for where you got bit by Desmond, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So he's gonna look at those ragged bite marks on your arm, and he's gonna look at you, and he's gonna be as understanding as possible, and he's going to tell you these bites from other K-Knights. These will take longer to heal. But they are able to be healed. If you concentrate enough on it and allow yourself to heal while you're lost to your day sleep, they should be gone soon. Now, utilizing your gifts, your disciplines, as the elders call them, they work in the same fashion of you healing. You stop and you concentrate on what you want to happen. Now, each of your disciplines are going to come differently to each of you. So as much as I can give you some minor attention on how to work with them, possibly even Devine can help at this, it would most likely benefit you to learn how to use the powers of your blood.
I can help with the dominating thoughts.
All right. Well, if I remember, that is something that what my clan can do. Though this thaumaturgy is very intriguing to me.
Mistress Fanchon will most likely be the one who has to help you out with that one.
Well, for now, I'm content in this domination. How does one go about this?
Yeah, Rodrigo's going to look towards Devine for that one.
I'm just gonna slowly walk over and not use celerity or anything like that. I'd like to use the forget domination power or dominate power.
Forget?
Yeah. Not a long time, not anything like, not super long, just enough for her walking around the room and back.
Okay, so what exactly are you attempting to do? You're making them forget that she moved, or?
Just making him forget that she had walked over. Nothing major. Like, I'm not taking anything that would seriously dampen their understanding of what's going on.
Okay. So
yes.
it's probably gonna end up looking like Blink then. You're gonna be in one place
Yes.
and then another?
Yes, it would end up looking like that. But it would
Okay.
just be small and insignificant. Nothing major. Like,
That's interesting. Okay. So you're using cloud memory.
yes, I believe that's the right one.
Okay. You get to choose one target unless you have maths manipulation, which you should not because it's a level 5. So you don't have to worry about the rouse check, but it's charisma plus dominate versus the wits and resolve of the person you're using it on. So who would you be using it on?
I would be using it on the Tremere because they're the ones that... I'm sorry, I'm bad with names.
And
Ask my
Andros.
kids. Andros. All right,
Andros.
I would be using it on Andros.
Uh-huh.
And, yes. Okay, so just roll the 4 then. Or 5. 5 for charisma and dominate.
Yes.
And +1 from your discipline die bonus of blood potency.
Yep.
Okay.
And Andros will also add it to the resistance roll.
Okay, so 6 total?
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Basically, Desmond and Aisha are going to see Devine just saunter around the room for a couple seconds. But when it comes to Andros, she's standing in one place and then suddenly in another.
How did you do that?
How did I do what?
You went from standing over there and to standing over here.
You can ask your friends how I did it.
How did she do that? Am I missing something?
She just walked over to you.
And then I made you forget that I walked over to you. I erased that memory. Small. Wouldn't affect you any in the long run.
Rodrigo looks over towards Andros and says it actually comes in quite handy when K-Knights have to feed. You can just erase the painful memory from the people. But also, when you feed, it can actually feel quite pleasurable.
Well, yes, when I fed earlier, it was quite euphoric.
I mean, for the person you're feeding from.
Oh. So they... So the same feeling of that euphoria affects the person that we will feed from?
Yes,
Someone-
as long as you're careful.
Some of us are allowed to get that.
Well, that's a little bit comforting to know that we won't be causing insane amounts of pain every time we want to feed. But as far as this domination situation, what is it that Casimir did to me that made me do something I did not necessarily wish to do?
That is a stronger form. You would have to work a bit harder with your concentration and thought to be able to control someone else's body that way. other canites, it's going to be more difficult, but humans and for some animals are easier.
Sounds incredibly useful.
They're all incredibly useful. I haven't seen a vampire use a power where it is not useful.
We can all do that. Make people forget.
You all have the capability of doing that. It may come more naturally to some than others. We'll do our best to teach you.
Yes, it probably would be a good idea if we are to be useful in this war of whatever. How did that old crone do that thing with the chicken egg?
Rodrigo just looks confused.
Romani divination, right there. That is tapping into something completely different.
I did not know the divinity of chicken eggs could be so intriguing.
There's really no telling what she can do. She's the oldest canite I've ever seen.
How old? 90s?
I'm 55.
You're 55. Well, good for you.
She's far older than me. I believe even my sire is a few hundred years older than me.
So, we are truly immortal.
You can be.
We will not age as the years pass.
No, you will not.
Are we susceptible to other things, such as sickness?
There are plagues within vampire bloods, yes. But not as many.
So we can't even escape that, huh?
Rodrigo kind of grimaces when she says the word vampire.
I have a cult 3. Have I heard tales of this kind of stuff?
Of which kind of stuff?
Like when she mentions the word vampire.
Well, I mean, everybody's heard vampire. Why don't you give me an intelligence occult roll?
Sure thing.
And we'll figure out exactly where Andros is on this knowledge factor.
Right on. My hunger is still 0, so no hunger dice here.
That's good. You're pretty much average with most people in this world right now. Is you believe in vampires, and you just kind of feel screwed over probably because you've now been thrown into their world. But this whole thing about like calling them canites and the ghouls and the way their powers work is all new to you.
So yes, the tales of the vampire are real. That is what we are. Though I could not have fathomed there being such layers to it, like an onion.
Isn't that what stories are? Just layers upon layers?
I mean, some of them, yes.
All right. So, when would be when you want to make me forget, or to make someone forget? You have to concentrate on them. And you have to know precisely what you're wanting them to forget, from the moment it starts to the moment it stops. Otherwise, tapping into a mind could be dangerous.
So I envision my blood making you forget? Is that how this works? Because Rodrigo mentioned that everything comes from the blood, yes, and that we envision our blood doing the things.
That's one way to look at it. I prefer to look at it as strands. I tend to try to remember exactly where everything begins and where everything ends that needs to be taken out. And then I allow my mind to focus on it, or I will pull my blood to focus on it and snip those parts.
All right.
Yeah, Rodrigo's just staring at Devine with her explanation in just like complete wonder because he has no idea how Dominate works.
I'm gonna stand in front of Rodrigo. And I'm going to slap the living shit out of him.
Okay.
Called it.
All right.
Based.
How do I make him forget that?
She'd kind of hold her hand over her mouth real quick and just try not to give the big toothy laugh she wants to.
Rodrigo's gonna relent to that completely because he feels like he deserves whatever punishment he receives. But he's gonna be holding the side of his face probably with considering the fact that Andrus has like 2 physicals or 2 strength and a brawl, so it's probably a fairly good slap. Alright.
She's gonna
Oh, don't.
She's
be
gonna
a
walk
child.
up next to him.
Don't be a child. I barely tapped you.
What?
Anyway.
What? What? God damn it! What Dominate were you hoping to buy for Andrus?
Well, I'm learning how to cloud memory, so it would be cloud memory.
Okay, that is what you want to take though.
As I say, can I interject here? Because if you want to take something else, I think it would be hilarious if he's like slaps him. All right, how do I make him forget? And then doesn't know how. Can't do it.
Oh, yeah, that would be hilarious. As a matter of fact, you know what? Compel's level 1, right?
Yeah.
I want to take that, but I want to the one word command I want to give him is forget.
Okay.
And I don't know if that'll actually make him forget.
It doesn't. But is there just for story, we're gonna have a little bit of comedy in this one apparently. Since you're going to take compel and you're slapping him, but you're trying to get him to forget, what could you be saying that ends up being a command while you're looking at him?
What was the last thing that Andrus said? Was the don't do something. I barely even hit you.
Yeah, don't whine about it.
Don't be a child, or stop whining. I barely touched you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's let's go ahead and roll that compel roll. It's free, and it's charisma plus dominate versus intelligence plus resolve.
All right.
So I'm gonna just roll for Rodrigo real quick. I got 3. You got 3. Tie goes to the active kindred. So you slap him and then you tell him not to whine because he barely touched him, and he instantly goes into soldier attention. He is standing up straight. He's got a big red mark from your hand on the side of his face, and he's just standing in attention like a soldier, not whining. When you ask Devine how to make him forget.
Yes.
Oh my god.
So yes, how do I make him forget that?
I don't think that it's forget that you made him do.
Well, what do you mean? That is what we are learning, no?
It is what we're learning, but did you not feel anything that moment? Did you not feel a surge through you?
I felt a tinge of satisfaction.
Wow.
I don't know. I felt a little warm, maybe.
Well, you definitely did something because, yes, now he's not even.
Oh. Oh wait, this is what Casimir did. Andrus will start like circling was it Rodrigo, right?
Yeah.
You start circling him like he's like observing almost like an experiment or a subject. It's like, this is what he did to me. He told me to do something and I did it. But I wanted him to forget, but he didn't forget. Instead he just
Stopped whining.
stopped whining.
Yeah.
He just gets more of a stiff upper lip when when people keep saying stop whining around him.
Tell him to do something else.
Relax.
He's
Pat him on the
yeah, he's just instantly gonna go from like being in attention to being like just in a more relaxed posture. I'm gonna go ahead and let the dominate keep hold for the time. But he his shoulders relax down. He seems a little bit more comfortable in his standing. It's visible.
Oh, all right. There it is. I like that. That felt good. I apologize for the uncouth behavior.
What do you mean? That was fun.
What's going through Desmond's mind as he's watching his friends play with their new supernatural gifts?
There's a mixture. His facial expression is a mixture of disgust and but when Andrus slapped Rodrigo, there was the start of a smirk, like an actual, he cracked a little bit of a smile, and then he returns to just kind of looking. I don't know. Disgusted is a bit too strong of a word, but that's the only word I can think of.
Yeah, this is obviously kind of not sitting well with him, but it's also kind of amusing at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's definitely that look of kind of surprise and awe, or amazement, but the previous events have kind of cast a foreboding shadow over any amusement that he might have found.
Yeah.
He's very downtrodden, crestfallen.
Yeah.
He lets you know that learning this gift, which he's heard the Canaanites call obfuscate, can be a couple of it can be different for each kindred as well. Were you planning to buy or were you planning to take Cloak of Shadows or Silence of Death?
Yeah, Cloak of Shadows.
Cloak of Shadows? Okay. He is going to Rodrigo is going to walk around the room and snuff out some of the sconces, making it quite a bit dark in here. We're living in a we're currently living in a modern world where absolute darkness is almost impossible. But in this setting, we can actually get those tiny little green or red lights on our smoke detectors aren't there. The LED clocks that we have aren't on all the walls. It is absolutely a different feeling in this time period. And he will tell you that if you attempt to melt yourself into the shadows, and it's very important once you're getting started to make sure that no one is paying attention to you, that you should be able to find yourself completely enveloped in shadow and completely overlooked by those around you. So he makes it so that parts of the room are dark, and then almost in a childish style game of everyone here should close their eyes and try not to be noticed. Like, close your eyes and try not to notice where you're going. If you just wander into one of those little areas, you should be able to fade into nothing. And with Cloak of Shadows, there actually is no test, so it just automatically works. Is there anyone who does not allow Aisha to simply vanish from sight?
I mean, are we instructed to like close our eyes and then open them?
Well, Rodrigo would say if we all like close our eyes and allow her to find her darkness.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah.
That was the most new age sounding shit that's ever come out of my mouth.
Find your darkness.
Find your darkness.
Find it.
But yeah, once we all would reopen our eyes and try to look for her, she's not in the room. We cannot find her at all. However, it being Cloak of Darkness, the moment that Aisha moves, it's going to fall down. She's going to become visible again the moment she steps out.
She will go like boo and try and scare people.
Boo!
Rodrigo actually might get some enjoyment out of that one, because that is just a discipline that I could see being used on the regular as more of like a playful kind of thing.
Oh my.
Who is she next to when she says boo?
Probably Desmond. Try to lighten the mood a little bit.
Is this where Desmond shows us his potence and he pushes her through a wall or something?
It just snaps my neck.
No. I was like, I had half a thought, or I'm like, maybe Desmond wants to learn how to dominate, and then slaps Rodrigo, and head just goes off. Like, uh-oh.
Yes, let us kill the NPC. Here's here to be to your advantage.
Poor Rodrigo. He's just trying to get by, do his thing, survive.
Aren't we all? Can I suggest Desmond go to the jail cell and like, rip the door apart?
I was gonna say, is there like any like fire irons or anything? Like,
Fire
like
irons?
like the
Fire pokers.
fire
Stoker.
pokers, stokers,
Uh-huh.
kind of thing.
What are you wanting to do? Like bend them or something?
I mean,
Go
he's
Superman.
gonna have to learn how to bend. Like, he's gonna have to learn how to use his new strength to forge, because he can't use fire.
Very true. Very true. I mean, he can, but it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Potence forged items are actually a thing in the world of darkness. So, so yes, that's something that they can definitely work on with. But what I'd say is that going on into the early hours of the morning, Rodrigo and with Davine's assistance will attempt to teach you as much as they can about your newfound gifts. And that being said, when the sun comes up, you're going to start finding it very, very difficult to continue going. You'll be shown to your own rooms, which are made for comfort now, not captive. You're not being returned to the dungeon. You're actually taken to windows that have incredibly thick curtains and large beds. And you're treated more like a guest now than anything else in this place. But that's primarily because you're dealing with Rodrigo and Davine, not the founders.
Mm.
And I believe that's where we are going to end this session. Yeah, so all three of you actually...
In order of who killed first.
Yeah, so... I mean, in order of who killed first, the numbers, I would actually probably say that it would be Fangs first, followed by Djinn, then Silent. Because of how fast death would have occurred.
Yeah, so if I...
So what is that again? It's you got to roll your negative humanity, but you also have to take in consideration like what your actual humanity is, I think.
So if you've marked your stains, it's unmarked boxes of humanity, minimum of 1 dice.
Yeah.
It's the margin between your stains and your humanity level, yeah.
Yes.
So with us being just embraced, our humanity being at 8, we have no margin from 2 stains apiece. So it's 1 die apiece.
Is it 8? I thought
it was 7.
It should be 7.
I thought the
It's
rules...
still 1 die.
Yeah, it's still 1 die, but so the rules for if you're playing a fledgling, like freshly embraced fledgling,
A fleshling.
you actually started an 8 because you just your humanity actually starts at an 8. Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. If you
Yeah,
were
yeah.
if we're like just
You were literally just embraced. You were just no longer human.
Okay.
Well, guess what?
I think more
Fangs will
just
go to
says...
I'm no longer at an 8.
Yeah, Fangs at a 7 now.
I can provide you the page number with that on there in just a second.
All right. What about Djinn?
I can feel the darkness creeping.
It's one die anyway. So.
Yeah, I rolled a 1 though.
Oh my god.
All right, you maintain that humanity, even though you were just like, screw it, I'm draining this guy.
Yeah.
One guy that accidentally does it.
Well, that's actually kind of funny too, because like Andrus was sitting there going, "Yeah, it wasn't me; it was the beast." So you were like making excuses already.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we've got Aisha, who is just like, I mean, at this point, Aisha's just like, "Yeah, I could have probably handled that better."
Yeah, I think her thinking at the time was, oh, these men or women just work the hardest at. He's imprisoned us here. Yeah. I'm gonna get my little bit back. And
now you just
anyway.
Now you just feel bad about it.
Yeah, lesson learned, you know.
All right. What about Desmond? He needs to roll his too.
Ooh.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
I mean, that makes sense.
Desmond kind of fed out of spite, so yeah, he's gonna lose a humanity too.
Yeah.
All right, so congratulations to Aisha for being the one with the highest humanity at the moment.
Definitely undeserved, but thank you.
And so the spiral begins.